Okay. So we're going to start with the bolster or pillows. And we'll start lying on our backs with the bolster behind your hips. Feet wide, mat distance apart. And release your spine. If you would like something under your head that's a little higher, you can use your block or a blanket or another pillow lying the opposite way. Go ahead and let your knees rest in towards each other. And opening across the chest, arms out to the side, not quite in line with your shoulders, but closer to in line with your shoulders. So opening the chest a little bit more. Resting with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. If you have support under your head, this should already be happening. But if you don't, take your chin in towards your throat. So draw it back towards your neck and then scoop it slightly up towards your throat. Finding length in the back of your spine and the back of your neck. Eyes can soften and close if they're not already there. And then take a moment to settle in, making any adjustments to the hips or the shoulders so that you can completely let go. And notice where you feel your breath automatically when you're in this position. This allows for some opening in your heart space and your chest. So just begin by noticing where in your torso the breath goes in this position first. And then start to consciously bring the breath deeper into your lungs. So in this position where the prop is, you can feel where the rib cage, the bottom of the rib cage, that section between the bottom of the rib cage and the bolster, you can feel where that connection is on the bolster. So consciously try to bring the breath into that space. So where the bottom of your rib cage meets your lower back. And then begin to extend your exhale. So however long your inhalation is, are you able to extend your exhale to be twice as long as your inhale? So if your inhale is a count of 3, can you extend your exhale to be a count of 6? Your inhale is for a count of 4. Can you extend your exhale to be a count of 8? So breathing in and out through your nose. Slowly. Quietly. Just a couple more breaths, bringing it deep into the lungs. Feeling the lower back and the side ribs expand. And then walk your feet closer together. Shift your hips to either side and just roll to either side to roll up. And then sit beside your bolster. Go ahead and put your right side beside your bolster. And the top of the thigh is resting right on the edge of the bolster. You can either stack the left knee on top of it, or if it's comfortable for you, you can rest the left knee inside of the arch of your right foot. Twist your torso towards your bolster or your pillows, placing a hand on either side of your bolster. Use your hands to gently encourage the twists to be a little deeper. And then walk your hands forward, bringing your belly and your chest to rest on the bolster or the pillow, turning your head first in the same direction as your knees. So your belly is resting on the bolster. Your chest is resting on the bolster. And you can either keep eyes gently closed or slightly open. And start to notice what it feels like to breathe in this position. Where are you more aware of feeling the breath move? Perhaps it's the side of the bolster that's resting on, or the side of the ribs that's resting on the bolster, that feedback from the bolster, feeling the expansion of the ribs, move towards the bolster, or you might feel it more on the left side. Just kind of notice where you're more aware. And continuing to bring it deep in the lungs. And going back into that Visamavriti, where your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. Keeping the breath light, so quiet. Keeping it long, slow, and keeping it low in the lungs. And if this is generally comfortable and you feel as if it would be comfortable to, on your neck, to turn your head away from your knees, you can turn your head to the right. And releasing, if you feel tension in the neck or the shoulders, releasing that tension. Just a couple of more breaths. And notice as you stay in this position, do you feel as if the front of your left ribs are moving closer to your prop? And go ahead and gently encourage that a little bit more. So feeling the bolster underneath the left side of your rib cage, gently rotate your left rib cage down towards the bolster. And then use your abdominals, your oblique muscles on the right, to even pull the right side of your rib cage slightly away from your bolster. So just an awareness of the obliques in this more restorative kind of position, making it not so restorative. And turn the head, if you did, turn it back. Bring the hands on either side of the bolster and press up. Bring your left leg to stack on top of the right if it's not there. And then just switch the bolster over to the other side. So now the top of your left thigh is resting right below the pillows or the bolster. And bring your right knee to rest in the arch of your left foot. Or if that's too much of an opening in the hip, you can stack the knees. Twist your torso towards the bolster, bringing your hand on either side of the bolster and press down through your fingertips and start to twist even more towards the bolster. And then walk your hands down on either side, starting first with your head turned in the same direction as your knees. Long, slow exhalations. Lightening the flow of your breath, quieting the flow of your breath in and out through your nose. Tongue continuing to rest on the roof of your mouth. And bring awareness to where in your ribs you feel this. Which side of your rib cage are you initially drawn to in your mind? So oftentimes when you're in a twist with one side being compressed by the prop, you might feel more in the side not resting on the bolster. However, with the feedback of the bolster, you may actually feel that awareness of the ribs spreading and compressing into the bolster. So just notice what you feel. Perhaps even noticing those two separate sensations. Option here to keep the head pointing in the same direction as the knees, or if it feels good on the neck, to turn it away from the knees. You can do that. And coming into Visamabriti, so the exhalation twice as long as the inhalation. As you release and soften into this pose, start to notice if the right side of your rib cage starts to move closer to the bolster. And then adding a little bit of muscle tension, actually start to push the right side of the rib cage down towards the bolster as you gently peel the left side of your rib cage, as if you could take it off the bolster. You won't be able to, but as if you could. And noticing how the obliques work together to create the twist. And that the twist is occurring in the rib cage, not from the rotation of the pelvis. One more breath here. And bring your hands on either side of your bolster. Turn your head either to center or back towards the left. Press up. And you can move the bolster out of the way. So have a block close by. Feet again, mat distance apart. Coming back onto your back. So we've created some awareness, some space in the in the area of the diaphragm and the area of the ribs, the lower ribs. We've also kind of brought awareness to the breath, the low, slow, and light breath that we haven't used in a long time, or we haven't made reference to it. So it's back. So feet hip distance apart, arms out from the body, T to the body, finding chin in towards the throat, broad across the front of the collarbones, lower ribs knitting in, moving the rib cage towards the floor without pressing the lower back into the floor. And just gently windshield wiper your knees side to side. You don't have to match it with your breath in any sort of way, but as you move the knees side to side, notice how high up in your spine that comes. And notice how much of the side of your rib cage that is opposite the side that the knees are twisting to. Notice how far it comes off the floor. And what would it feel like to try to keep that side of your rib cage on the floor? And it may still lift up slightly, but an awareness as if you were going to keep that side of your rib cage on the floor. And the next time the knees fall to the left, keep them to the left. Take your hands to your rib cage, heels of the hands or webbing of the hands on the sides of the rib cage. As you inhale, move the ribs into your hands. And as you exhale, use your hands to guide your ribs towards the floor. Take just a couple of more breaths. I'm going to moving the right side of your rib cage towards the floor. The next exhalation is if you are letting air out of a tire slowly. You're going to shush your exhale out. So add sound, a very low, light, quiet sound. And just notice what kind of sensation that creates in that vicinity of where you're trying to move the rib cage towards the floor. Bring the knees back to center. Hug the knees in towards the chest just to let that tension go as you rock a little side to side. And then bring the feet back down to the floor, mat distance apart. And windshield wiper the knees again side to side. And just notice if that created a difference, right side to left side. And start to bring awareness again as you rock your knees to one side. Can you gently have an awareness of rocking the rib cage down towards the floor to the other side? And the next time the knees come to the left, stay to the left, and they're not going all the way down towards the floor. Bring the webbings of your hands to the sides of your rib cage. Inhale, feeling the rib cage expand out into the hands. And as you exhale, gently draw the left side of the rib cage as if you were going to take it to the floor. And then switching into breathing in through your nose and a gentle, very soft, but long out through the mouth as you rotate the rib cage in. And notice what you feel and that side, the obliques kind of moving to bring the rib cage towards the floor. Rotate it back up. Draw the knees in towards your chest and rock a little side to side. Keep holding your right knee And bring your left foot down to the ground. Press your foot into the ground, lift your hips, and shift them about an inch to the right. Then straighten the left leg. Take your left hand across and grab the outside of your right knee and twist as far as you need to bring the knee off or to the ground. So your right shoulder will be completely off the ground, and let that happen. If that is too much, you have a pillow that you can place under your knee, or you can place a block under your knee. Take both arms out, T to the body, and reach your right hand back. Inhale into the sides of the rib cage. Use that shush sound, this quiet shush sound, to rotate your right rib cage towards your right hand. Inhale again. As you exhale, bend your elbow, taking your hand to your chest, reach it across your chest and down the inside of your left arm to touch palm to palm. Inhale here, down into the bottom of the rib cage. And as you exhale, use that shush sound to take your hands, fingertips up the inside of your arm across your chest. Rotate the right arm back and gaze back towards your right hand if that feels comfortable in your neck. Inhale into the bottom of your rib cage. And as you shush, bend your elbow, take your hand across your chest and down the inside of your left arm. So you're going to do this a few more times. You're going to pause as you inhale to fill the bottom of your rib cage out. You're going to use a slow, low, quiet shush to scrape the arm across your arm, reach it back, feeling the rib cage move towards the floor. It won't go to the floor, but towards the floor. Inhale to fill up. And shush as you exhale to bring it back. One more time. And just notice, inhale to fill up. Notice how using that shush as you twist creates more of that awareness of the obliques, being able to twist open a little bit more. When you twist open this time, stay open. Reach your right arm up beside your ear, palm facing up, fingertips facing the ceiling, fingernails on the floor. Turn your head towards your left arm, flip your palm over, and continue your circle to touch your palm. And then take it down, scrape across your thigh, and take it back behind you. So we're going to go one more time in this direction. Palm up, keep the fingernails touching the floor as you take the arm to the ear. Once it reaches there, head turns, palm flips over, and take it across. Touch your thigh, and then change direction. So take it down your thigh towards your knee, palm to palm, fingertips scrape the floor. When it touches the ear, flip the palm over, twist it back and around. Down towards the hip, flip the palm over, down your thigh, over your palm, over your ear, palm flips over and twist back. You bring both knees to center, both feet on the ground. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Rock a little side to side. And just notice what sensation has this created along your spine, perhaps even in your shoulders, maybe even in your hips. Continue to hold the left knee. Bring your right foot to the ground. Press the right foot down, lift the hips and shift the hips slightly to the left, maybe an inch to the left. And then straighten your right leg to the ground. Reach across with your right hand and grab the outside of your left knee. And move the left knee all the way to the ground. So twisting far enough that the knee can rest onto the ground. If that's not comfortable, you can put either your block or your pillow under your knee. And then reach both arms out, T to the body. Left arm reaching behind you. So just pause here for a couple of breaths. Notice what twists do to your breaths. To me, they can be very constricting because my lungs or my rib cage are twisting and creating some compression on my lungs. So bringing the breath deep into your lungs, and then that slow, long exhalation. And on your next exhalation, use that shush sound as you start to rotate as if you could move the rib cage towards the floor. It won't go to the floor. Inhale, breathe into the bottom of your rib cage. As you exhale, bend your elbow, touching your chest, slide the fingertips across your chest, down the inside of your right arm and meet palm to palm. Pause here and inhale. Use the shush to exhale. Fingertips scrape up the inside of the arm, across the chest, and then reach the arm back. Pause to inhale. Shush to exhale, bending the elbows, taking it across, sliding it down. 2 more times. Inhale to prepare, so we don't move on the inhale. As we exhale, shushing, feeling the rib cage draw to reach back. And notice what happens each time. You get a little closer to the floor. Inhale to prepare. Shush to exhale. Bring the fingertips down the inside of the arm, palms to touch. Pause here. As you exhale, bring the arm up beside your ear, pausing here with your fingertips down. And then continue your circle, letting your palm flip up, fingernails on the floor. Take it all the way back behind you. Hand towards your hip. Once it gets to the hip, flip the palm down, come down the side of your thigh, over your knee, across your palm, arm to ear, then flip your palm. Hand behind, all the way down to your hip. Flip the palm. When it comes to palms touch, we're going to switch directions. So glide it down towards your thigh, up and over your hip. Flip the palm, fingertips scrape. Bring it up by your ear. Flip the palm across your other palm. Last time. When the hands come together, stay there. Roll onto your back. Center the hips. Hug your knees in towards your chest. And rock a little side to side. Bring your feet to the floor. Let the knees rock in. And find your spine in neutral. So chin tucked, collarbones broad, ribs towards the floor, lower back off the floor. Pelvis in relative neutral. Come back into our Visamavriti breath. So where your exhalation is twice as long as your inhalation. So however long your exhalation naturally is, make your inhalation half as long. And just notice if this has changed. We've opened up the rib cage. We've opened up the mid spine, the low back. And oftentimes this can have an effect on your natural breath and on your ability to extend your breath. Going to start to become a little bit more active. We're still going to remain on the floor, but grab your block. place the block between your knees. Take your hands down beside your body and then out to the side, T to the floor or T to the shoulders. Inhale into the bottom of your rib cage. So create that core stability with diaphragm moving down. And as you exhale, squeeze your block. Don't let your low back move to the floor as you bring your shins parallel to the floor. So knees over your hips. Have the awareness of the knees squeezing in. Notice if the bottoms of your rib cage started to flare open, and move the back of the rib cage closer to the floor. Inhale. As you exhale, shush, and take your knees over to the left as you rotate your right rib cage towards the floor. Inhale here. As you exhale, shush back to center. Squeeze the block, inhale low. Exhale, shush, rib cage moves to the left, knees to the right. Pause here, inhale. As you exhale, shush, knees back to center. Inhale. Feel the ribs rotate to the right, knees to the left, shush. Inhale. Exhale, shush back to center. One more time to the right this way. Inhale, low. Slow, shush. Ribs to the left, knees to the right. Inhale as you hold here. Exhale back to center. Squeeze the block, inhale. As you exhale, knees to the left, ribs to the right, hold. Inhale here. Keep rotating the right rib cage down. As you exhale, straighten your right knee. Inhale here. Exhale, rotate the ribs more to the right. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, back to center. Squeeze the block, inhale. Exhale, ribs to the left, knees to the right. Inhale, squeeze, ribs to the left. Exhale, straighten the left leg. Inhale. Exhale, rotate ribs. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, come back to center. Remove the block. Grab behind the knees and start to rock forward and back. And rock all the way up, hands to the floor towards the front of your mat. Come into a hands and knee position. I'm going to take the block and place it between your heels or your ankles and sit your hips back on the block. So we're slowly moving away from the floor, but clearly we're not moving completely away from there yet. Knees are hip distance apart, so there is a space between your knees. Sitting on the block, lean forward and find a slight curve in your lower back. Down. Stand on the ground and bring your right hand behind your head. Inhale, twist. Feeling the obliques work as we've been working with. As you exhale, twist and touch right elbow to left forearm. Inhale, twist open. So having a sense that perhaps your sit bones remain on the block And the rotation is coming more, exhale, close, from the rotation or the engagement, contraction of the obliques. One more time, close. And then open. Reach the elbow up a little bit more. Inhale, breathe into your ribs. As you exhale that slow shush out, take your left hand and bring your left hand behind your head as you continue to twist to the right. Each inhalation, taking the breath deep into the lungs, each exhalation, perhaps using that shush sound to continue to use the obliques to rotate you more to the right. If it's comfortable, you can stretch your arms. And yes, you're slightly still leaning forward, stretching your fingers in opposite directions. Rotate both hands back to the floor. Shift forward to hands and knees. Inhale, lift your head, lift your tailbone, so cow pose. As you exhale, press hands and feet into the floor. Squeeze the block between your heels and round through your spine. And take 3 deep breaths in cat pose. So not moving back and forth, just staying in cat pose. And each exhalation, moving the spine a little bit more into that rounded position. Inhale into cat, lift your head, or cow, lift your head, lift your tailbone. As you exhale, sit your sit bones back on the block. Keep your right hand on the ground, walking it a little bit closer to your knees so that your sit bone can sit on the block. Hand presses down and pushes slightly forward. Bring your left hand to the back of your head. Knit your lower ribs in. So we're already engaging transverse abdominis. As you inhale, open towards your left elbow, even gazing up towards your left elbow. And as you exhale, twist and close, touching forearm and elbow together. And just continue to move through this at your own pace, at your own breath. So hopefully you're feeling that the hips, the pelvis, from all the work that we did before, is remaining in relative neutral. So sit bones have a sense of staying on the block. And you're using your obliques to twist. So the rib cage twists. Next time you twist open, stay open. Inhale again, breathing deep into the rib cage. As you exhale, take your right hand behind your head, still leaning forward. So there's some core work, transverse abdominis as well as obliques. Each inhalation, breathing deep into the lungs, using that sense of the shush to help you engage and twisting a little bit more open towards the left without your hips twisting. You can reach the arms in opposite direction if that feels like something you're interested in. And then twist back towards the floor. Coming forward, remove the block between your heels. Inhale, lift your head, lift your tailbone. Press through hands and feet, round through your spine. Exhale. Stay in this cat pose for 3 full breaths. Exaggerating the length of your exhale, drawing navel to spine to feel the flexion all the way through the spine. Inhale, come back into cow, head lifts, tailbone lifts. Tuck your toes under and press up and back into downward facing dog. And take a moment here just to move a little bit more. We continue to get further away from the floor, but we're still pretty moving slowly. So bending one knee and then the other. Maybe reaching the knee towards the opposite side of the mat as you press the opposite heel down, feeling that work up into your side body. So now creating more of side bending or side flexion. Come back to center. Bend your knees and walk your hands towards your feet. Feet hip distance apart. Hands to your shins, lift up halfway. Straighten your knees and then start to push your shins into your hands as you move the hips back in space. So the more you allow your hips to go backwards, your belly button is above the top of your foot, which is going to give you more stability. Inhale again here. As you exhale, fold. Grab your opposite elbow with your hands and swing side to side. And if it feels good, you can allow the hips to move side to side too. So free the pelvis. We've been stabilizing the pelvis. And free the pelvis a bit. And slow it down. Let the crown of the head grow heavy and reach towards the floor. Release the elbows. Come up halfway. Knees bent or straight. Fingertips into your hip creases. Reach the elbows towards the sky with a firm belly. Lift all the way up. And widen your stance slightly so that your heels are now shoulder width apart rather than hip width apart. Turn your palms out. Inhale, reach your arms over your head. Interlace your fingers. You can't see it. Interlace your fingers and press your palms up towards the sky. Inhale. Start to push your hips to the left as you side bend to the right. So you're going to exaggerate actually pushing your hips as far out to the side as you can as the hands reach in the opposite direction. And then slowly start to slide them back in. Keep the hips where they are and rotate your chest towards the floor, looking down beyond your foot, and then do the opposite. So rotate up towards your top arm. One more time, twist the spine and the chest down. And then rotate open. Come back to center. Exhale, hinge from your hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And bring your fingertips into your hip creases. Tone the front of your belly. Elbows reach towards the sky. Lift all the way up. Hands down beside your hips. Turn the palms away. Reach your arms over your head. Interlace your fingers the weird way, so the way that you don't normally, and stretch the palms of your hands up. Move your hips to the opposite side. I can't remember which way I said if I did what I did or not, so go the opposite way. Arms reach to the opposite. Notice what it feels like. And then slide the hips in. They can still be slightly out to the side. Slide the hips in slightly. Turn your head and your chest towards the floor. Gaze beyond your foot. And then do the opposite. Rotate, looking up under your arm. One more time, twist towards the floor. One more time, twist open. Inhale, stretch both arms over your head. Exhale, either knees bent or straight, hinge from your hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And walk to the front of your mat back into downward facing dog. So your feet should be slightly wider than they normally are. Inhale, lift up onto your toes. Turn both of your heels towards the right side of your mat and then reach your heels towards the floor. So your left heel is going to stack in front of your right toes. Press your hands evenly into the floor. Push a little bit more through your left hand. Stretch your hips back. Inhale, come up onto your toes. Shift both of your heels to the left. Reach your heels down. So your right heel will be in front of your left toes. Press evenly through your hands. Press a little bit more through your right hand. Reach your right hip back. Inhale, come up onto your toes. And stay on toes. You can bend your knees or knees straight and heels towards the ground. Shift your weight to your left foot. You can walk your feet a little closer together. Inhale, reach your right leg up and back, three-legged dog. As you round your spine, shift your shoulders above your wrist and bring your knee to your nose. Step your right foot to your right thumb and lower your left knee to the ground. Take your block and place it underneath your left shoulder with your left hand on your block, right hand to your right knee, left toes point back. Push the knee forward of your toe as you lift your chest. So stretch. Press the front of your left foot into the floor as you push your right knee a little bit further forward. Shift the knee back above the hip. Bring your right hand behind your head. As you inhale, twist open. Reach the right hand straight up. Gaze up towards your thumb. And then stretch the right hand back towards the back of your mat. Continue to gaze towards your right thumb. Inhale into your lungs. As you exhale, rotate your ribs towards your hand as you stabilize your left hip back. Belly pulls off your thigh. Reach the right hand up towards the sky. And then reach right hand forward. As you stretch your hand forward, sink a little deeper into your front hip crease. Right hand comes back to right knee. Shift left hip over left knee and tuck your toe under. Slide your left hand and block back as you straighten your right leg. So coming into Ardha Hanumanasana, so that half monkey pose. Knee over hip. You can keep your block right on the inside of your left thigh. If you're able to bring both hands to the floor, you can do that, or you can bring both hands to the block inside of your right leg. Reach the right toes towards your head. Press your right heel down and slightly drag the right heel back as you stretch your chest towards your right foot. Firm your outer left hip in. So if you feel it pop out, hug it in. Left hand to the block, right hand to your right hip. Inhale deep into your lungs. Keep your pelvis in neutral as you start to shush, twist your right rib cage towards the ceiling. Maybe right hand reaches up. This takes a lot of balance. Think of that child's pose twist we were doing and kind of call that back into your body. Rotate back towards the floor. Move the block off to the side. Bend your right knee above your ankle joint. Lift your left knee off the ground. Start to straighten your right leg. So left heel can be off the ground. If you need the block, you can take the block inside of your right foot and bring both hands to the block. As if you're pressing down on the gas pedal with your right foot, press down, firm the thigh. Maybe you drop the left heel down and in. Maybe you step the foot up slightly and drop the heel down and in. Keep your left hand on your block, right hand to your hip. Bring the fingertips into your hip crease. Pull the hip crease back as you reach the heart towards the front of your mat. Inhale deep into the lungs. As you exhale, use the shush sound as you twist your ribs towards the right, perhaps lifting your right hand. Keep pressing the left heel down into the floor. Firm the fronts of your thighs. Twist your ribs a little bit more. Look down at your right foot. Bend your right knee above your ankle joint as you lift your left heel. Step your hand and your block towards the front of your mat, wrist in line with your shoulder. Bring the thumb back into your right hip crease. Pull the right hip crease back as you transition your weight onto your right foot. Press down and lift your left leg up behind you. So ribs are squared towards the floor. Square your hips. Tone your lower belly, pubic bone towards your navel. Inhale deep into your lungs. As you exhale, use the shush to twist again your rib cage to the right, maybe reaching right hand up. So revolved half moon pose, Parivriti Ardha Chandrasana. Bend your right knee, left foot to the back of your mat. Right hand to the ground, left hand to the ground. Switch the block to the opposite side of your mat and step back again into downward facing dog. And pause here to breathe. So noticing what you're feeling. We started about 5 minutes late. We're gonna go that full 5 minutes and have a quick Shavasana. So you can thank me for the long, more restorative at the beginning. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, gaze between your thumbs, round your spine as you bring your knee to your nose, and step your left foot to your left thumb. Right knee down. Right hand on your block underneath your right shoulder. Right toes point back. Left hand to your left knee, push your knee forward. As you push the knee forward, push the front of your right foot into the floor and lift up slightly. So square your hips towards the front of your mat. Reach, start to twist. So push down into your left knee as you start to twist your belly towards your left inner thigh. Reach the right hand up or left hand up, gaze up towards your thumb. And then take it back, continue to look towards your thumb. So hips continue to square forward. Ribs, exhaling, twist, opening, looking towards the left thumb. Bring the hand back up to the ear, sweep it forward, reach it forward. Hand back to the knee, slide back, right knee above your hip. You can either move the block and bring both hands to the floor, or keep the right hand on the floor as you straighten your left leg. Maybe bringing both hands to your block or both hands to the floor on either side. Right hip is directly over right knee. Reach your left toes towards your face. Press the heel down into the floor and isometrically drag it back. So firm the front of your thigh. Square your hips. So notice if you're and move toward them in the same line. Right hand to the block. Keep the left leg strong as you start to twist towards your left thigh. Inhale deep into the lungs. Exhale, shush, and perhaps bring left arm up. And twist back towards your left foot. Block off to the side. Bend your left knee. Tuck your right toes under, lift your right thigh. Block and come back. Start to straighten your left knee. Stretch the crown of the head forward, hips back. Square the hips towards the floor. Press more down through the ball mount of your right foot. Either just turning your left heel down and in to bring it to the floor, or stepping it more narrow to keep your legs straight. Now press more through the heel of your right foot. Left hand to your hip, pull the hip crease back, reach the crown of the head forward, inhale deep into your lungs. As you exhale, twist, shush, and rotate towards the left hand up. So Parivriti Trikonasana, revolve triangle pose. Bring your left hand back to your hip. Square your torso towards your left foot. Bend your left knee, walk the block forward and out slightly to the side. Weight to the left foot. Lift the right leg up behind you. Pull the left hip crease back. Inhale deep into the lungs. As you exhale, hips stay where they are. Twist, shush, and lift, or ribs to the left. Lift left arm. Look down. Bend the left knee. Both hands to the ground at the front of the mat. Step back into downward facing dog. Shift the knees to the floor. Knees wide, toes touch. Send the hips back towards the heels, forehead to the floor. Rest in child's pose. And notice what's going on with your breath. Notice what's going on with the rib cage. In the lower back. Walk the hands forward. Shift forward to tabletop. Cross your ankles, sit your hips behind your heels, and then come down onto your back. We're going to do one quick bridge pose. So feet in line with your sit bones, hands down beside your hips, palms down. Press the inner edges of your feet into the floor to lift your hips. Interlace your fingers behind your hips and then press the fists down, shoulder blades closer to your spine, lift your hips a little higher. Long, slow breaths. Coming back into that V Samavriti. Lengthening the exhale. Twice as long as your inhale. Release your hands. Release your hips. Release your shoulder blades. Just a quick windshield wiper the knees a couple of times, side to side. Hug the knees in towards your chest. And again, rocking a little side to side. And then finally, reach your legs long to the ground. Allow the legs to relax. Hands down beside your body, palms facing up. And coming back. Feeling the sense of your body being held, supported by the earth beneath you. Quieting your breath a little more with each breath. allowing it to become just a tiny thread. Barely audible. Sensing very minimal air coming in and out through the nose. Quieting the breath, quieting the mind. And sensing your entire body. Begin to feel the parts of your body that are connected to the earth beneath you. Sensing where the legs and the floor connect. Sensing where the arms, the hands, the shoulders connect. The back of the head. And sensing where your ribs meet the floor. And you sense the feeling of the breath in your low back. And bend your knees. Roll over onto your side body. And taking your time, come up into a seated position. And slowly bring your hands to meet at heart center. And bow your head towards your heart. Thanking yourself for honoring the time you've made to be here, to practice, to move. Thank you for being here to practice and to move with me. And the divine honors, the divine in me honors the divine in you. Namaste.